In the deep of the jungle, where the trees grew so thick that sunlight forgot its way down, there stood a garden that no gardener had planted. A garden of stone, soldiers frozen mid-scream, birds locked in permanent flight, foxes caught in their final desperate leap, 500 years of statues, each one wearing the same expression, pure, unending terror. And at the center of it all, on a throne of twisted roots and flowering vines, sat a queen who had not heard her own name spoken softly in half a millennium. Her name was Vasha. Half woman, half serpent, she moved like water through her jungle, scales of deep green and gold shimmering along her arms, her long dark hair woven through with living flowers that bloomed only in shadow. Her eyes were the most dangerous thing in the known world. Pale gold, slit like a cat's, ringed with light that seemed to burn from within. One steady gaze from those eyes and the warmth left a creature's body forever. Stone replaced breath. Silence replaced heartbeat. She had not chosen this curse. She had simply been born with it, and the world had never forgiven her for it. 500 years. Every traveler who stumbled into her jungle screamed. Every soldier sent to defeat her turned to granite before he finished drawing his sword. Every bird, every fox, every wandering deer, all of them statues now, monuments to a fear she had stopped trying to explain. Vasha had not tried to speak to anyone in 200 years. What was the point? They always ran, or they always died. On the other side of the jungle wall, in a small village of clay rooftops and cooking fires, lived a boy named Don. He was 14, slight and quick with a laugh. He had been born without sight, his eyes the soft gray of river fog, seeing nothing, missing nothing he had ever known. His world was built of sounds and textures, and the warm smell of bread from his mother's window. He knew the jungle only from his mother's voice when she warned him,
right now.
Dan, that
You must
forest,
stay within the village
never.
walls where it
Do you
is
hear me?
safe.
Never. He had always listened till the morning his goat escaped. Her name was Asha, a small, ridiculous creature with a cracked bell around her neck, and that bell was the only reason Dawn followed her at all. He heard it, clinking, distant, moving steadily into the wall of trees his mother had forbidden him to enter. He hesitated at the jungle's edge. He could feel the temperature drop, the way the air thickened with green and damp, and something older than anything he had a word for. But he could hear Asha's bell, and so he walked in. He could not see the stone statues around him, the frozen soldiers, the petrified birds. He walked between them, calmly, one hand trailing through the air, feet finding the root-laced ground without stumbling. He did not feel dread. He felt bark and moss and cool air on his skin. He called for his goat. His voice rang clean and ordinary through 500 years of terrible silence. Deep in her throne room of roots, Vasha heard it. She rose slowly, serpent eyes narrowing. Someone was in her jungle, and they were not screaming. She found him in the clearing at the heart of her court, a small boy, crouching, head tilted, listening for a bell. Around him, her serpent spirits coiled in the shadows, hissing, furious, waiting for her command. She stepped into the clearing. Her eyes burned gold in the dark. The boy looked up directly at her face and said nothing. He did not gasp. He did not run. He simply waited, the way a person waits when they sense they are not alone. Boy,
You see,
Vasha said. Her voice was
mist
rough from
connects
long
everything
disuse,
here.
like a door opened after
It
centuries.
connects you.
Do you know
and
where you
me.
are? In a jungle, Dawn said. Have you seen my goat? She has a bell. Vasha stared at him. The serpent spirits froze. Are you not afraid of me? Dawn tilted his
came
head,
seeking safe
considering
passage,
honestly.
But I find
Should I
myself
be?
hoping for
You haven't
something
done anything
more.
frightening yet.
Perhaps you-
500 years, countless encounters, screams, and stone, and silence. And that was the first honest answer anyone had ever given her. She sat down across from him, slowly, not
But
on her
first,
throne, but on the
I must
ground,
set aside
and
my
without
crown
entirely meaning to,
and remember
she began to
who I
speak.
am.
They talked for days. Vasha found Asha within the hour, but Dawn did not leave. He sat beside the Queen of
incredible
Snakes
here.
in the warm
Do the
dark of the
flowers
jungle,
really glow
and
like
he
this
asked her
all the
questions
time?
no one had ever
They look
thought
like
to
the
ask.
stars.
What does your jungle
It must
smell
be
like
strange
after rain?
seeing a human
Do
after
you
so
have a
long.
favorite sound? Have you always
Are you
been
afraid
alone?
of me?
And she answered
sense
each
no
one with a
deception in you,
carefulness
Dawn.
she had
Perhaps
forgotten
there is
she
hope for us
possessed,
yet.
as
I
if
know
each
the
answer was
burdens you
something
carry,
she had
little
been
one.
holding in her hands for
But you are safe
centuries,
here.
waiting for somewhere
It is
safe
time
to set
let
it
the
down.
past rest.
The serpent
It's all right,
spirits
Dawn.
watched from the shadows
Just stay close
with
to me.
narrowed, suspicious
Everything
eyes.
is going to be fine.
In the village, Dawn's mother was already at the jungle's edge, and she was not alone. Weeks passed. The story spread the way frightening stories always do,
already too close.
growing
Look
sharper
there.
and darker
The
with
fires
each
are
telling.
dying. We're-
A boy,
blind boy
bewitched,
has been
the
bewitched
Snake
by
Queen,
the Snake Queen,
feeding on
and
his
that
soul.
she is feeding
He
on
must
his
be
soul.
rescued. An army arrived at the jungle's edge. Vasha heard them before Dawn did. She went very still. This she recognized. This was how every story of hers had always ended, with boots on the ground and weapons raised, and faces full of the expression she had spent 5 centuries learning to dread. She began to rise from the ground. Her serpent spirit surged forward from the trees. But Dawn heard the army too. He stood up first. He walked toward the sound, toward the edge of the clearing where the general and 50 soldiers stood with weapons drawn, and he spread his arms wide. A blind boy, between an army and a serpent queen, completely still.
Move aside, boy. I am under orders and will not be delayed.
And Dawn laughed. Not a frightened laugh, not a mad one. The easy laugh of someone who finds the situation genuinely funny. She's not a monster, he said. You've just never stayed long enough to find out. The general looked past him, at Vasha. Her terrible golden eyes were open. Every soldier near her should have been turning to stone, but Vasha looked away. Slowly, carefully, deliberately, she turned her gaze aside. Down, toward the roots at her feet, away from the face of a man she could have destroyed without effort. It was the first time in 500 years she had looked away from someone out of care rather than cruelty. The general's sword arm lowered, slowly, then all the way. No one became stone that day. The army did not advance. The serpent spirits did not strike. The jungle held its breath, and then, gradually, let it go. Dawn's mother crossed the tree line alone. She found her son standing beside a woman she had heard nightmares built from, and she saw, with the sight that mothers carry, that he was not bewitched. He was simply there, present, happy. She looked at Vasha. Vasha looked carefully, cautiously away. He talks too much, Vasha said at last. Your son. He asked me 27 questions before I had finished my first sentence. Dawn's mother stared at her for a long moment. He's always been like that, she said quietly. It was not peace in a single afternoon. Peace is not built that fast when 500 years of fear stand in its way. But it was a beginning. The army returned to the village with a different story than the one they had arrived with. Slowly, across that strange season, the jungle's reputation shifted, not to safe, not yet, but to something more complicated than monster. Dawn visited again and again, always with Asha and her cracked bell. And Vasha found that the stone garden around her throne, which had once felt like power, looked, more and more, like a record of 5 centuries of loneliness she would rather not repeat. She did not remove the statues immediately, but she stopped adding to them. We fear what we cannot face. But sometimes, what the world names a monster is simply someone who has never once been seen without fear, and was waiting
It is quiet
all
here.
along For someone to
But
stay long
never
enough to
truly
learn the
silence.
difference, it took a blind boy to see her clearly. And in being seen, she finally, after 500 years, began to look back.